Get your coffee. Let's talk metal.
Today we're here to talk about new album. First off,
Rock.
how are you though? How's life treating you at the moment? Touring?
Yeah, good. We're on the last show of the Chaos tour in Dallas, Texas. We have a little break, and then we do SOULFLY Go Ahead and Die US tour. Then we have a break for the holidays, and then Australia in January. I'm very excited. Of course, the album Chama. Very excited for it. We can't wait for people to hear. I think it's a very inspired Soulfly record, full of piss and vinegar. It's raw, heavy, angry, fast, tribal, all of it.
Well, that's one of the things that I picked up when I listened to the album was it almost seems like it's a little bit from all the 12 previous albums. They're all in there, all these little influences. There's the soft elements that are in there. Then there's these balls to the wall, almost, as you said, piss and vinegar that's in there. Then there's groove. It kind of does the whole career of Soulfly. Was that intentional?
Not totally intentional, but I think that just happens like that when you've been with a band for so long like that. The first intention we had to make this record was reconnect with the attitude of the first album, and I think more in the vibe and attitude than musically, because I think musically it would be impossible to really connect with the first one. But I think like in terms of the ideas and how the record was set up, to me feels very familiar with the early stuff. But on top of that, you have all these modern noise elements throughout the whole record that make the record modern as well. So that's, to me, that's the thing that I find quite cool about Chama is, although it's inspired by the past, it holds on to the present, what's going on right now, and that to me is huge. And I mean, I think what you said that about sounding like all the other 12 record, I think that's kind of like maybe like that's like the trademarks of Soulfly, like maybe like my voice and some of the riffs are so familiar because I've been doing that for so long, But I think in general, I feel somehow this record has something quite special about it, and there's very inspired record for me for Soulfly, especially being our 13th record.
Yeah. I get the impression on this one as well from what I read, and then you can kind of hear it as well, that Zion had it's probably the most creative input he's had on a record. Is that correct?
For sure, yeah. I mean, especially producing the album as well, and then playing the drums in it. Yeah, I think in general, to me, this record was really fun to make because I got the chance to play with have around the record both of my sons, Zion and Igor, and they all of them help within the record with lyrics and ideas. And Igor Amadeus wrote a beautiful fictional story that goes with the record about the boy Chama. It's almost like a concept. So it could have been a concept album, if we wanted to make one. It would make a really cool, if we have the chance to still do it, an animated version of that with some kind of sound would be really cool. But I think having all of them working, helping, made to me this album a lot of fun to make. It was really, really exciting time in the studio.
I mean, you mentioned there about the concepts. I mean, it's the story that we have is that it's a young lad, Chama, who's from the favelas, who then goes out into the Amazon and then sees the world from a different angle. I mean, could you tell us a little bit more about that kind of? I know it's not the whole concept of the album, but the idea behind it.
Yeah, I think the main the point of the story is that in order for Chama to find his true identity, he had to leave behind the the things that were around him in the favelas, like the violence, the aggression, the corruption, uh, the drugs, all of that negativity, and go through the jungle where is a pure place, a spiritual place, and connects with the animals and the indigenous culture, which is highly spiritual.
Mm.
And and then looking at the flame, he finds himself, and of course, flame means chama in Portuguese. Um, and I think that's a beautiful story, really cool story, and I love that that's in the center of the album.
Is there is there a little bit of an autobiography in there as well on your own journey from Belo Horizonte out into the world?
Not really. I mean, like our story is quite different, you know. I think I like the fact that it's fictional and it's inspired by um, even movies like City of God and City of Man, uh, or A Place in the Fields of the Lord. Uh, those movies, I think, also had major inspiration to me in this story. Um, yeah, my own story is quite different, and yeah, I think Shama's story, it's a little bit maybe even uh, mixed up with the UFC fighter Alex Pereira's story a little bit. I think it's a mixed bag, but
Mm.
I think the point was to try to be somewhat inspirational to people to find their own um, nature, go out and find nature, find the spiritual or spirits of the nature, you know, wherever you are.
Yeah, however you do it. Yeah. The oh, sorry, excuse me, my voice there. I mean, on the album itself, you've got a couple of guests, Todd Jones, Dino, and Michael Amott, just to name a few. What did when Dino, as you can hear, because I mean, that song has a very Fear Factory kind of undercurrent to it, which is probably because of his guitar playing. But what did these guys bring to the songs as well?
Very cool. What I think most interesting about this guest is actually two things. They're all friends of mine and from bands that I really like, and they're quite unexpected. You know, you didn't really expect Michael Amott to be in a
Mm.
Soulfly record. You didn't really expect Gabe Franco and Ben from No Warning to be on No Pain Equals No Power. That's really like left field, you know. Even for Soulfly standards, that comes out like, whoa, really? Those guys, you know. Uh, Dino is a bit more expected. We toured with him, you know, and he was with in Soulfly for a little bit. And from that time that I asked him, whenever we do an album, I'm gonna bring you to the studio and you gonna give me your best riff ever, man. You know, I told him I want you to give me the riff that in a year from now you're gonna be like, I regret, I wish I would not give you that riff, you know. Um, and I think it's gonna happen. I think a year from now he's gonna come out to me and say, "Yeah, I gave you one of my best riffs. God damn it, should have saved it for Fear Factory."
You'll have to give him one back. Well, I mean, it's. I remember when you did interviews for the first album all them years ago, long, long time ago. Um, I remember one of the things you mentioned, and it was you wanted to make Soulfly records, like you mentioned there, have your friends in. It becomes at kind of a party, and you were referencing hip hop records at the time, how they always have guests in their records as well. I mean, is that you? Do you feel that when you do that, you're giving back to the musicians that have inspired you and then helped you get where you are?
Yeah, I think it's all part of it. I think it it's an idea that's inspired by hip hop, and because I think hip hop used to do a lot of that in the 90s, um, and that's kind of where the idea come from. But you see that way more in metal today. Like Gojira and Lamb of God. All of them are doing collaborations now with other people, which I think is great. The new 𝙛𝙖𝙫𝙧𝙮 Bob has has Dylan from Full of Hell and Todd from Nails. Everybody, it's cool. I like that. Um, Again, they're friends of mine. I happen to be fans of their bands. So yeah, why not? It's a win-win. To me, one of the coolest things is hearing people like Tom Araya on Terrorist, because it's totally different from Slayer. That's a Soulfly song, but you get to hear Tom Araya's voice in a Soulfly element. Very cool. And then even Corey Taylor on Jump the Fuck Up is quite different from Slipknot. So the idea is that I think the fans get something extra as well. They get something that unexpected. Um, and to me, as a fan, I feel very excited to work with my friends and friends slash heroes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. In family, obviously. The One of the things you're talking earlier about the production element. So my understanding is you guys use the Focusrite board. I think there's only three of them in the world. I mean, what was the what was the reasoning behind using that, and then how do you feel that improved or impacted the music?
Yeah, it's a really rare board. I mean, that came from South Africa, and it's actually the board where Lion King was recorded.
Okay.
Elton John did the whole soundtrack of Lion King on this board, and um, so I think it's quite cool. It's we got something that was used for a movie like Lion King, and we're gonna make a metal record out of it. Um, it's a huge board. It looks like a spaceship. It's amazing. Um, and we took full advantage of it. So we just kind of went to town with sounds and ideas. Of course, it was a cool team. It was me, Zion holding the production, but also John doing the engineering, and then we sent everything out to Arthur Rizik to mix. This team is actually quite cool. We're all crazy. So um, kind of like everything goes kind of attitude. Um, no idea is a bad idea. One of those type situations, and just throwing shit at the wall, see what if sticks. Uh, that's why there's so much cool noise on the record, I think, and I like that. I think that made the record more. To me, it feels a bit more dangerous and a little bit more fresh, even um, than if it was just the regular, typical riff, drums, bass. That's it. It's that, but there's a layer of other shit on top of it that makes it way more exciting.
That's what and that's the reason why I kind of wondered how much of a creative element Zion had in there, because like we're both of a certain age now, a vintage, I'd call it. Whereas with Zion being a bit younger, he'd probably be thinking of these extra sounds that are in there. Because I mean, it was one of the songs that it almost made me think, if you didn't like it, you could have given that song to say like a Code Orange or a Health, and it would have just sat with them quite nicely. But it's like, no, you soulfly it. You do what you guys have got to do. So I mean, how much writing influence did Zion actually have?
A lot of it. I mean, I think and that's one of the cool things that you have in a younger mind on a project like that. Uh, to me, it was really interesting because the riff is the riff and it's there, and I love the power of the riff. But if you can make the song itself more exciting by adding extra layer of whatever creepy noises or something, you're right. You enter a territory where it's like it becomes um, something more modern than bands are doing right now, rather than stuff that I did back in my day. Like we didn't really do anything like that. Although, in a weird way, Soulfly One does have that, which is kind of strange. Um, and was totally by accident. I think me and Lucio really hooked up with pedals on the first Soulfly, and we were trying a bunch of pedals, and a lot of those weird sounds on Soulfly One, which are very even hard to replicate. We try to, when we play live, we try to um, recreate those sounds, and they never quite sound the same as the record. It was like a unique thing that only happened. So I'm very interested in to see how we're gonna recreate this Chama noises shit live. I haven't racked my brain around that yet, but it's coming. I know we'll be able to figure something out. But
Of
it's
course, well, you
cool.
guys are too
I
talented.
like this idea of this type of recording. It makes it more exciting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you work with your sons in other stuff as well. So I mean, does it in other bands? Was it just natural just to go in there and thrash something out really quickly as well? Like I suppose the question I'm getting at there is, with these all being so prolific musically, like how do you just keep drawing from the well and go, hey, here's another great riff, here's another great sound, here's another great song?
I mean, it took a while. We've been working on this record for a couple years now. It's been, I think, almost 4 or 5 years since Totem, and in that period, I did a lot of touring, but also we took breaks from tours and went home and wrote stuff. So I think that's kind of what's cool about the record, that we use the time right, without hurrying, without being on, without trying to do it things too fast. We had the time to even go in the studio, and I remember I went on tour in Europe with Cavalera, and was like came back and did some more stuff on the album. So all of that, I think, helped made the record come out the way it did. It was like um, a really kind of like prolonged recording, but kind of cool because you kept adding until it was finally the way we wanted to sound it like. So yeah, I think when you do it like that, um, I think it's really cool because it gives you a different perspective on what you can do sonically.
Yeah. Well, you're giving it time, I suppose, to you do a little bit, you let it ferment, you go away, you come back, you can add a little bit extra because you've seen it. You're
Yeah.
not, yeah, hammered with it all the time.
Sometimes can be a bad thing. Like I've noticed it at sometimes if you mess with it for too long, it's not good, because a lot of times the original ideas are best ideas, and they're fresh and they're right there. Um, so there's a lot of stuff on this record that was like original ideas, but a lot of other stuff, we work on it and try to make it better and better.
Yeah, nice. I mean, you mentioning a little bit about you finish your current tour, you have a little break, then you go out with Soulfly, and then break, and then Australia. So, have you played any of these songs yet live so you can get the vibe for them?
play a little bit in Europe. We play Favela Dystopia a couple times, and we play.
The drums on that are great, by the way. Ooh.
Yeah, they're cool, and Nihilist. Uh, it was cool, but people didn't knew them, and it's kind of hard to judge the reaction when people don't really know the song. The greatest thing about coming to Australia in January is that by then people already will have the album and they will know the songs, and so when we play them, we can have a better chance of connecting with the new material as well.
My own, as a fan, Black Hole Skull, I think will go off, right? Like especially when that kicks in the second half, I think that'll go off in the crowd, and I actually think Chama will as well. I think both them songs, I hope they work when you play them live because they sound brilliant on record and just make me think of the chaos that's going to be down in a bit.
Yeah, they're very exciting. I love the groove of it. I love and Black Holes come, of course, a little bit of dark humor on Soundgarden there, and which I'm a fan, by the way. And yeah, I mean, it's the heavy beat down groove that I love, and I'm glad it's kind of back in Soulfly. Also Chama, the beginning of Chama, the opening riff, it's so catchy and groovy. It's like you can't help but headbang. Like your head, you automatically go into headbanging mode, which is great. I love that.
Yeah. They're great songs. Um, I will, since a little bit off topic, but I mean, I was on your Instagram yesterday and I had a look, and you put some pictures up the other day about with friends. Um, I know that you guys in your history you toured with Ozzy Osbourne, and of course Ozzy's just recently passed by. Ace Frehley a few days ago. These are all our heroes as children. I mean, what sort of impact did these guys have on you, not just musically but as a person?
Um, huge impact musically. It goes without saying. Black Sabbath, Ozzy, and this inspiration is endless. But also when you become friends with them, people say like don't meet your idols because you might be disappointed. That's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. And in my opinion, I'm so proud to have a chance to hang out with those guys, and I will hold that in my heart forever. It was a great time, and um, I'm always thankful for that, and that's why you know that post was made to show that friendship, camaraderie between band members that exist in a metal world, and we need more of that. Rather than division and fighting, political fighting. None of that. More unity and friendship, and um, doing the guest appearance on in people's albums. That's amazing. Doing guest appearance live, it's amazing. That's like a great thing, man. It makes the whole scene stronger.
Well, again, it comes back to what you mentioned there and what we mentioned earlier. I mean, that's what you guys have always done from Soulfly One to now Chama. You're very big in creating a community and in keeping that linked.
Yeah, I think it's important, not just for us as musicians, but also for the fans. They get when you go on tour, a lot of times you have packages with 2 3 bands, and it's so cool when the bands get along and everybody's a fan of each other and wear everybody's shirts and give everybody shout outs, and it makes the tour better, makes a unity between the bands better, makes you remember that tour as, yeah, that was fun. So we love that, and we love bringing a lot of people, you know, young bands on tour. That's been one of the coolest things. I don't do that myself personally. Most of that is done. My wife Gloria, she helps book a lot of the bands and get the ideas. So we get a lot of bands like 𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙮 and Body Box, and that were it's so great to have them with Soulfly. You know, it's like the new generation. Um, we get to be part of that experience as well. As a metal fan, I like a lot of the new bands. You know, I'm a guy that grew older, but I still have a 17-year-old heart of a metal fan. You know, like just full on metalhead. And I love that. I think that's a great thing. I refuse to grow up. I refuse to um, cut my hair, stop listening to music, be one of these assholes. You know, um, to me, it's awesome to support the scene, be part of the underground, and be part of the heavy metal scene in the world. You know, it's great.
Amen to that.